Thank you very much. We appreciate your attendance at one of our premier events for the Chamber of Commerce today. We're glad that you took time out of your schedule to be here, and again, I thank you for that. My job is a difficult job. I have to keep all these speakers rolling and also try to get you out of here on time. And we're already late because we allowed you to have some conversation, which we think is always good. And you can network with your friends. At this time, I'd like to introduce Mr. George Brees, who is the board chair of the Chamber of Commerce. And George has some comments, and we're going to have George offer our invocation. George?
Good morning, soon to be good afternoon. How are y'all doing? First of all, Breeden, thank you so much for your leadership as chair of the Government Affairs Committee. We're truly not only honored but blessed to have your leadership there. I did want to say in particular that if you look at your seats today, you'll find the card. I refer to it as the Ronald Reagan 3x5 card, but you can call it whatever you want. But it has some facts about the Fayetteville Regional Chamber and the Economic Development Alliance. You've been reading a little bit about the Alliance, I'm sure, and hearing about them and us. And so I wanted to make sure that you could answer any questions that you may be asked about both of these great organizations. Of course, the Chamber has been in business now since 1899. And today I read, Breeden, a great article by Bill Kirby in the paper that said, "So today we'll learn something about ourselves as a community, who we are, where we've been, and where we're headed will be a part of today's event." And in that same article, Doug Peters said, "We've come a long way together, and we have a long way to go together. Our community's best days are ahead of us, and we shall all take ownership in shaping where we're going." Today you're going to hear from some great leaders. Jeff Sanborn, of course, will be introduced later. Fort Bragg Garrison Commander. Jeff, always good to see you. Our best to Kim. Jeanette Council, who served for 14 years as the chairman of our county commissioners, served both at the state and national level. I believe, Jeanette, you're now the National Association of County Commissioners Women's Caucus Chair. Others who are here, Ken Edge, Ed Melvin, of course, Tom Council, good to see you. You're 8 years on the county board. Ken Metcalf is going to be speaking to us today. Ken, please give Chris Ray our best regards and thank him for his wonderful service. Jackie Warner, Jackie, please give Alex our best, and we look forward to hearing about all the great things going on, and that you're going to get that dam straight eventually. Mayor John McNeil's with us from Rayford today over in Hoke County. We're so glad to have him with us. You know, goodness and mercy doesn't stop at the city limits nor the county line. And so we're glad to have our great neighbors, and they're getting ready they're in the middle of their North Carolina Poultry Festival over in Rayford. We wish them the very best. I'm going to try to run over for their parade. And of course, Chip Lucas, please give Frank Teal our congratulations. So yes, Cumberland County and the 9 municipalities are a dynamic, successful, growing community. And as Chris Bostock would say, we have a lot to celebrate in our community. Would you please bow your heads? Our gracious Heavenly Father, we come before Thee praising and thanking Thee for Thy many blessings. Lord, we ask You to bless this food today in the hands that have prepared them. And Lord, we ask You to wrap Your arms around those who represent us as our elected officials. Continue to give them wisdom to do the right and the best things for our community. Now, Lord, we also ask Your special blessings on the men and women who are thousands of miles away, protecting the freedoms that we enjoy at this moment, the right to assemble. Lord, be with their families and with their children and bring them home safely to us. Bless this food. Bless our county and city and state and nation. Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. it's a difficult task to try to call out elected officials, so I do what's easiest. If you are an elected official, please stand. Let's give them a hand, ladies and gentlemen. I want to now recognize our sponsors today. We would not be able to have this event were it not for our sponsors. I'm going to ask if there's a representative or representatives of the sponsor for you to stand when I call your name. And I'm going to ask that you hold your applause until we have called all the sponsors. Our gold sponsors for this event: CenturyLink, Fayetteville Public Works Commission, Fayetteville Technical Community College, don't be shy, stand, UNC Pembroke Foundation, Up and Coming Weekly are our gold sponsors. Our silver sponsor, Fayetteville State University. Our bronze sponsors, Advanced Internet Technologies Incorporated, Amerizon Wireless, Berean Baptist Church, Callahan and Rice Insurance Company, Construction Systems Incorporated, the Crown Complex, Hendrick Chrysler Jeep Fiat, Home 2 Suites by Hilton, Houston Henderson Real Estate Consultants, LLC, Maria Napoli, McFadden and Sumner CPAs, LLC, Nubion's Restaurant and Classic Catering, LLC, Odell Smith and Sons Grading and Utility Contractors, Incorporated, Piedmont Natural Gas Company, State Farm Insurance, Lavette R. Jones, Store Smart Fayetteville, Todd Rivenbark Puree CPAs, PLLC. Let's give our sponsors a hand. We want you now to enjoy your lunch, and we'll call you back to order shortly. Thank you very much. Before I introduce our first speaker, I'd like for all active duty military and all veterans to please stand. Thank you very much for your past service and your present service. You know, in today's world, there's so much chaos and conflict. And so I think it's very appropriate that our first speaker come from our good neighbors at Fort Bragg. Colonel Jeffrey Sanborn began his military career by enlisting as an artilleryman in November of 1984. After his initial assignment to 4th Battalion, 325th Airborne Infantry Regiment, he attended the United States Military Academy and later commissioned into the field artillery. Most recently, Colonel Sanborn served as Inspector General to the 82nd Airborne Division. He holds a Master's of Business Administration and a Master's of Industrial and Operations Engineering from the University of Michigan. Colonel Sanborn's awards include, this is not an all-inclusive list, includes the Bronze Star Medal, the Joint Meritorious Service Medal, and the Meritorious Service Medal. Would you please give a warm welcome to Colonel Jeffrey Sanborn?
Thank you for that nice introduction, Breeden. And good afternoon. It's a real pleasure to be standing up here in front of you today in this opportunity to address you all from our community. And, you know, I got the unique honor of being first and kind of breaking the ice here, so I'm going to start off a little bit of a story. So bear with me. Truth be told, I didn't really know where this place, the Doubletree Hotel, was. It's kind of amazing, you know. I've spent about 16 years of my life here in the Fort Bragg, Fayetteville area, and yet this place kind of eluded me. And I got to thinking about it, so I looked it up online, got the address and stuff, but it kind of stands to reason, you know. If you're from Fayetteville and you need to go somewhere on 95, well, you're either going north or you're going south, right? So if you got to go north, you're popping out on the 95 somewhere on the north side of town, and you're going north, right? And if you're going south, you're popping out on the 95 somewhere on the south side of town, you're going south. And this part of 95 is kind of a black hole to us that actually live here, right? So I looked it up, and I got the address. I said, oh, I got it. I know where I'm going now. And I was talking to Kim last night, and she said, where is this place? Where are you going tomorrow to do this thing? I said, the Doubletree. And she said, we got a Doubletree here? She said, well, where is it? How do you get there? I said, well, it's easy. It's just like I'm going back to elementary school on the day I was born. She said, what? So here's the story. I looked it up, right, and I looked up the address. The address here is 1965 Cedar Creek Road. And, of course, I was born in 1965, so that's the day I was born part. But, you know, I grew up in a small town in western Michigan called Fremont. Actually, I wasn't in Fremont. I kind of grew up in the backwoods, in the sticks, okay? 1965. And, you know, in fact, I was so far out in the sticks. You know, some of you might have heard the term podunk before. You know, in some circles, hillbilly circles, redneck sex circles, you know, hick circles, podunk's kind of a descriptive term that's used to, you know, say that place is way out there. It's out in the woods, right? Like that place, that was podunk, right? Well, where I grew up, there actually was a spot that was called podunk. You heard of a guy named Jeff Foxworthy, right? If you grew up in a spot where there was actually a spot called podunk, you might be a redneck. So anyway, you know, about 5 years after I was born, as is customary, it's time to go off to elementary school, kindergarten. And, you know, my mom did her job. She made me learn our phone number, right? She did a pretty good job of that because I still remember it, 8212-824. And I loaded up on the fish bus. And the fish bus took me to the thriving metropolis of Fremont, Michigan. Population, I don't know, about 3,000 back in those times. And it took me to my first elementary school where I started kindergarten and also did all my elementary years. And I got off the bus on Cedar Creek Road at Cedar Creek Elementary School. So there's my story. And it's a long ways from Podunk to Fayetteville, North Carolina, but here I am. So as I said before, this is a great opportunity, great honor to talk to you about kind of the state of our community. And, you know, to put it all back into perspective, when we talk about community, the reality is that those gates and those fences that we have around Fort Bragg really paint the wrong picture. Because I can speak for all of our soldiers, airmen, families, civilians, and all of us there at Fort Bragg when I say we are a part of you, you are a part of us, we are all members of the same exceptional community. And so I want to take a little time here to talk to you about, you know, kind of the state of affairs right now for our soldiers, airmen, family members, and all of us at Fort Bragg, and also talk a little bit about where we're going. And to kind of paint the right backdrop, I want to go take you back to last year. Okay, about 15 months ago, this thing called sequestration kind of kicked us right in the shorts. And if you recall all of the the doom and gloom at the time, it was a pretty dire situation. drastic cuts to the training that our soldiers and airmen were going to be able to allowed to do as a result of those restrictions placed by our funding levels. Instead of training at the collective level, many of our formations were only able to go out and do individual and squad level training, the very smallest rudimentary building blocks of real military readiness. And in addition, we had to cut back severely on municipal services on Fort Bragg. We didn't have money to fix our facilities. We closed facilities. You remember we canceled the 4th of July celebration. All in all, from about April till October of last year was a pretty tough time for us. And we rolled into this fiscal year 14, not really knowing what was going to happen. But the good news was Congress was able to do some good for us all back in December when they passed a measure that kind of got us over the hump with regard to sequestration for at least 2 years, 14 and 15. And as a result, we're back to training at a very high level. The most important thing we do, train to a very high level, okay? And we can do most of the things that we need to do at Fort Bragg to keep things rolling, pay all the bills, keep the lights on. But there still are a couple things where we're kind of hurting. Military construction, for the foreseeable future, we're just not going to see a lot of it because it's just not in the budget. Okay, when the Chief of Staff of the Army prioritizes the things that have to be done and racks and stacks those things against the funding that's going to be available in the next several years, even in light of what's happening with this Congress's action last December, they have to draw a line somewhere, and military construction just isn't rising up above that level. The other place where we're continuing to see it, the pain or the lack of funding that we really need is the money that we typically get to maintain all of our facilities on Fort Bragg. And that's one of those things where it's kind of insidious. We're not going to see the full effect of that unless we go through several years of this. It's kind of like not changing the oil in your car, right? You can get away with it for a while, and you probably don't even know it's doing any damage. But after a while, it's the old Fram oil filter commercial. You can either pay me now or pay me later. But those are the places where we're still being forced to accept risk, right? And you recall that as a result of the sequestration thing and where we were last year, the Army our Army's leadership decided that it was going to need to downsize in order to make ends meet in the coming years. And as a result, the Army took itself from an end strength of 560,000 down to 490,000. We're not quite there yet. In the next year or so, we'll get to that 490,000 mark, okay? And you recall last year that there was a lot of a wringing of the hands of this process that the Army underwent to figure out where to take those cuts across this many installations, and we were a little bit concerned here at Fort Bragg. Although I think if you recall, myself and other leadership at Fort Bragg was telling you, don't worry too much. We're going to be okay. Other folks are going to take a harder hit than we are, and that's pretty much the way it bore out. We took about a 2,000 soldier cut to Fort Bragg, and I don't want to minimize that because the bottom line is 2,000 jobs is 2,000 jobs in our community. But in the grand scheme of things, with an installation with 57,000 soldiers, 2,000 isn't going to be the end-all, be-all for us. So that's where we were, and now we're at this point where we're looking forward, and the Chief of Staff of the Army knows that unless Congress again finds a way to come to a deal whereby we'll get some continued relief from or a reversal of sequestration, we're going to be at a point starting in FY16 where we can't make ends meet again. And so that's why the Army's institutional leaders now are contemplating another cut. And so just to kind of clear up some of the stuff you're reading in the news, so we went from 560, we're heading down to 490 based on decisions that were previously made. And the question is, how low do we need to go? Well, the reality is, if we use the sequestration budget numbers for the out years that we expect, in order to make all the ends meet and do all the things we need to do, there probably is only money there to support an Army end strength of about 420,000. That's another 70,000. And the real rub with that's fine. Look, if that's all we need to do the things that our nation needs us to do around the world, that's fine. You know, we're not here to support ourselves. But the rub comes into play in that when you look across the global situation, and let's be real, it's not getting any safer out there, right? You know, every day we hear more about what's going on in Ukraine and in Syria and Iraq and other places. It's just continuing to be a dangerous place out there. And so our Chief of Staff of the Army takes a look at our many requirements across the globe and says, look, we can't meet our requirements with an end strength of less than 450. And so that's where we're going to draw the line. There's only money there for 420, but we're going to draw the line at 450 because that's what we need. Okay, that's sound logic to me. But the bottom line is, if you're going to fund a 450-man army with a 450,000 army with a 420,000 budget, there's going to be some you're going to have to be managing some risk. Okay, going to be some things that we're not going to do. And so, you know, the first thing you look at, you know, big cost drivers in the military and the Army. Pay, okay, that's the end strength thing, right? Modernization, training, installations, 4 things really, okay? So modernization, you know, if the budget situation doesn't change, there won't be a lot of that modernization going forward, okay? We're going to have to focus on training and preparing our Army to, you know, fight and win the nation's future conflicts and wars with the stuff they've got now. Okay, that's the first place where we'll take risk. And then another big area that we're going to take risk is installations, and that's obviously something that's very near and dear to my heart. And so, if we go forward on this on the path that we're on, we're going to be back to the point that we were last year, where we don't have the money to make ends meet, pay all the bills, keep the lights on, fix all of our facilities, provide all of our family programs on the installation, and on and on and on. And that will be a very unfortunate situation. But if and when it happens, recognize that it's happening because it has to happen, because our number one priority in the Army is readiness, okay? And even racked and stacked amongst the broad category of readiness, because in reality that's what we're all about. We're all here to support readiness. But the most important thing is readiness right now to send soldiers to go into harm's way. And everything else are things that we're going to have to accept risk on. So that's kind of the path we're on. I outran my notes here, so give me a second. And so there's this reduction going from 490 to 450. If you've been in tune with what's in the news, you recognize that the Army is again going through this process of trying to figure out where to take those cuts, just like they did last year. Okay, and you might have heard some published references to this thing called the Supplemental Programmatic Environmental Assessment. And it's just like the one we did a year ago, except for that was the Programmatic Environmental Assessment. And there's a lot of gloom and doom in that thing that talks about potential cuts of 14,000 soldiers at Fort Bragg. Okay, I just want to set the record straight on that study and where it fits in the process. There is no, that we're aware of, there is no potential course of action being considered by our Army's leadership right now that would that would result in a cut of anywhere near the 14,000 magnitude at Fort Bragg. And that's where it's important to understand where that programmatic environmental assessment fits into the Army's decision-making process. When our Army's leaders first started contemplating this cut of another 40,000 soldiers, they just said, well, what is the worst possible case loss that any one installation could take? And in some regards, they're just throwing a dart at a dartboard, right? I don't know. Let's say 14,000, okay? So they said, now let's score all of the large installations against that potential worst case of 14,000. And so all it is a way that the Army's kind of compares apples to apples and oranges to oranges across the various installations in the Army to take a look at what the worst case would look like. I'll make a prediction, and that prediction is that when the Army publishes the results of this new stationing decision, no installation is going to see anywhere near 14,000, even though we were all there were like 7 or 8 of us that were being scored against a potential loss of 14,000 soldiers. It was just a worst case, this is what it would look like type of a thing. And so what is Fort Bragg going to say? Well, I can't answer that question. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't even have a lot of connections. But what I'll tell you is that the same argument that seemed to bear out last time is still in play here. The bottom line is Fort Bragg is home to almost exclusively unique capabilities in the Army. Places where it just can't accept any more risk by cutting forces. The immediate deployability, 82nd Airborne Division, all of our special operations forces. Hey, special operations continues to be a growth industry, okay? And so while we might again see a small loss, we're not going to see a huge loss here at Fort Bragg. We're all of our leadership at Fort Bragg is confident of that, okay? I don't want to minimize the impact, though. I made the remark before, 2,000 jobs in our community is 2,000 jobs in our community, and that has an economic impact that we do eventually feel. Right now there's a lot of consternation about what to do with regard to a chicken processing plant that might potentially bring about 1,000 jobs here. Okay, just put that into perspective. Okay, a couple thousand soldier jobs. Last year's decisions, maybe some more this year. It does add up. So it's important to be involved, okay? And you should know that this thing out there, this supplemental programmatic environmental assessment, if you read in the footnotes in the back of that thing, you'll see that there's an opportunity for communities to respond, okay? And I welcome you all to organize a concerted effort to respond to that. We did that last time. And I think it helped. And I think Doug Peters could probably get anybody here the specific reference for where to send those comments if you'd like to have that. The opportunity is there. I encourage you to take that opportunity. I will share with you that there are other military communities out there that have literally flooded the inboxes, if you will. With their responses. Now, quite honestly, they're probably flooding it because they have reason to be concerned. Okay, so there's that side of this thing as well. But the folks that are keeping tabs up there just sent us a note last week to let us know that, hey, we've only had like 4 comments from the Fort Bragg area. So the opportunity's there. You can take advantage of it if you want. I want to talk real briefly about BRAC, okay? You should know that our Army's leadership is advocating for another round of BRAC, and you should also know that we should welcome it. And here's why. What the Army would like to accomplish in this next round of BRAC, if we can get Congress to see its way through to that, is something that they call consolidation. This is different than the last round of BRAC. okay? The last round of BRAC was an efficiency round, and so in theory anyway, what the Army was trying to do was put things where they needed to be based on either an argument of cost effectiveness or operating effectiveness. Putting places in the right units and organizations and capabilities in the right places. What the Army wants to do now is a consolidation round, and what a consolidation round means is closing military installations and consolidating what remains at the remaining installations that stay open. And let's be real, Fort Bragg's not going anywhere, okay? We can all agree on that, right? Fort Bragg's not going anywhere. And you know what? When you look across the state of North Carolina, I bet Camp Lejeune's not going anywhere either. It's just too important. And I can't really speak to, for our Air Force leadership, but I kind of think Seymour Johnson probably isn't going anywhere either. And so I think a strong case can be made at least to the North Carolina delegation up on Capitol Hill that they should be on board with a BRAC, a next round of BRAC, because the reality is it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity for places like Fort Bragg, Camp Lejeune, Seymour Johnson to be the landing place for displaced units, organizations that are, that are being affected by base closures elsewhere. It's an opportunity. BRAC is an opportunity, okay? So when you look at things like how the Army decides where to put things, right, even in today's context where it's trying to cope with a downsizing, and in the context of where would we like to see, where would we like to close installations and where would we like those displaced formations to go, that's where, a process of very detailed metrics comes into place, okay? It comes into play. And, what Fort Bragg really has going for it, the number one thing Fort Bragg has going for it is the fiscal argument, okay? With the exception of one other installation, it is more cost effective to train a soldier at Fort Bragg than anywhere else in our Army. And that's even true given the heightened readiness requirements that our Special Operations Forces and the 82nd Airborne Division demand here at Fort Bragg. They have to train to a higher level, and we're doing it cheaper. Okay? That's a powerful argument. But there are also three things that are kind of working against us. Okay? And I used to say two, and a few months back, I kind of, something opened my eyes, and there actually are three. The first is, we got 160,000 acres of land at Fort Bragg, and that sounds like a lot, and it's a ton of land, okay? 250 square miles, okay? But the bottom line is that for 57,000 soldiers, 160,000 acres isn't a lot. And there are places like Fort Carson, Fort Bliss, Fort Hood, Fort Stewart, where the ratio of acreage available to soldier soldiers who need training is much more advantageous, okay? So we got that strike against us a little bit. The second area we got a problem with is in our transportation infrastructure. And the reality is we've benefited from a lot of growth at Fort Bragg over the last 15 years or so. Just since about 2006, we've had an increase of a little over 20% in our population at Fort Bragg. And we had all that great investment in our facilities, redid the whole 82nd Airborne Division footprint, all these new facilities, Womack Hospital. Now we're starting, the redevelopment of all of our special operations capability facilities as well. But as we were coming to terms with meeting all those requirements to accommodate that growth and replace all these aging facilities, what we never got to was improving the road infrastructure to support all the new increased population, the demographics. Now all young folks have cars now, versus 50 years ago when, most of them didn't, okay? And the reality is our road infrastructure was built for the Fort Bragg reality about 50 or 60 years ago. There have been very, very few real changes in terms of, building new roads or widening roads since then. And the bottom line is, You know, I mentioned the fact that we just don't have, the Army doesn't have the funding to get to military construction anymore, okay? And so what's in the program is in the program, and we aren't going to get much more. And so we can't build any more roads, okay? They're military construction projects, just based on the costs associated with them alone. We can resurface roads, we can repair roads. It's a different category of work. But anything we want to do new, we want to add lanes, or we want to add roads, or that's military construction. And the military construction dollars just aren't there in the DoD budget. Okay, so we're not going to get to solving that problem internal to the Army. That's point number 2. The third one, and this is the new one, is that the Chief of Staff of the Army commissioned a study by a company called WestEd this past year to take a look at our schools in the communities surrounding our military installations, the major military installations. And I got a copy of that study, shared it with our superintendents recently. And the bottom line is it doesn't look too good for the Fort Bragg community area. When you look at the report for, I'm getting it back there. When you look at the report for our area, in and of itself, it doesn't look that bad. What the methodology that WestEd used was to take all of the schools in our surrounding communities that had at least 200 military connected kids, and then score those schools against the state, okay, the state averages, okay, and take a look at which ones are in the upper quartile, the middle 2 quartiles, and the bottom quartile. So 31 schools in our surrounding communities in Cumberland, Harnett, and Hoke County met that 200 student threshold. 31 schools, and of those 31, 7 were in the bottom quartile. That's not so good, okay? 5 were in the upper quartile, okay? So on balance, that doesn't look that bad. So maybe just a little bit below average. I think all 5 of those are in the same high school footprint. You can probably guess which one. It's Jack Britt. But when you look at it across the context of the whole report, we just don't fare very well. Most of our other major military communities do much better. Several of them have a much higher proportion of their surrounding schools that are in the upper quartile, and very few that are in the bottom quartile. And even in the context of our own little report here, for our Fort Bragg area, 5 of the 9 high schools that have at least 200 military connected kids in them are in the bottom quartile. That's something that we got to fix. And so, here's what we can do, okay? Sequestration. We got to keep the drum beat up. Most of our ailments can be fixed by getting Congress to come to some sort of an agreement that would end sequestration. That's kind of the holy grail right now. Continue our great track record of working together to protect Fort Bragg's very valuable training lands. Like I said before, 160,000 acres isn't a lot for 57,000 soldiers. I made the comments about our transportation infrastructure. You may have heard me say this before, or heard it through other means, or this might be new to you. But the reality is that every year the state of North Carolina collects something like $11 million in state gasoline taxes off the pumps on Fort Bragg. And so we've been working with North Carolina officials to just try to make the argument, look, the money is being collected from our community. You make the call, but if the state of North Carolina sees it's in its best interest to put some of that money back to work on Fort Bragg, then by all means do it. The money's coming from us. We're just asking for you to look at it. And the point to be made here is that, it goes back to what I said before, right? We got to fix this problem, or we're not looking very good with regard to BRAC and downsizing decisions, because this counts against us. And the opportunity is there. And if the state of North Carolina wants to take advantage of, for example, a next round of BRAC, this is a good way to make a statement and show an improvement against something that's counting against us right now. We got to continue to work together on the school situation. I think particularly the high school situation. In reality, the elementary school situation isn't that bad. And I'll come back to, you know, you're all probably aware to varying degrees of discussions about what to do with Shaw Heights and a potential partnership opportunity there. The reality is, if we ever get to that, you know, to a yes on that type of a deal, it's going to address two of those problems. One, it gives us a place to build our next military family housing community without taking training lands. Okay, so it's working in favor of protecting our training lands, and it's helping our high school situation for our high school age kids on Fort Bragg. You can respond to the supplemental programmatic environmental assessment. There will be another, if you all recall, about a year, 14, 15 months ago, we did this thing called a listening session where the Army's sent some leaders down here, and we rallied the community together and gave some, feedback directly to military leaders about the impacts of potential troop losses at Fort Bragg. You're going to get that opportunity again. We don't have the exact date yet. We expect it to be somewhere between the months of January and March. So we'll get that information out to you when we have it. And then the last thing is working with our North Carolina delegation, advocate for BRAC. BRAC's a good thing. BRAC is an opportunity for the state of North Carolina. Okay. I want to thank you all again for the opportunity to update you on what's going on in Fort Bragg. And as always, we want to take every opportunity to build upon our exceptional partnerships and our strong sense of combined community. I'm running real late, and I know we got to move along. So if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to take them afterward. Thanks.
Thank you, Colonel. Jeanette M. Council was appointed to the Cumberland County Board of Commissioners in the year 2000 and was elected as District 1 representative in 2002, having served 3 terms as Vice Chair and Chair. As a member of the Cape Fear Valley Hospital System Board of Trustees, she served on Planning, Executive, Compensation and Investment, Nominating, and Diversity Committees. Dr. Council is a graduate of E.E. Smith High School and Fayetteville State University. She received her master's degree from Indiana University, her educational specialist degree from East Carolina University, and a doctorate in education from South Carolina State University. She attended UNC Chapel Hill and is a fellow of the Duke University Institute of Politics. Please welcome Chairperson Jeanette Council.
Thank you so much. I was telling the Colonel, he took all of our time. Every single second, plus went over. But we love you. Where'd he go? He took all the time and left. Bye, baby. Next time I'm going before you. I am very happy to be here to represent our 2,300 employees in the county of Cumberland and the 327,000 citizens who live in Cumberland County, who live and work in Cumberland County. I am accompanied by 2 of the delegation, Ed Melvin and Kenneth Edge, and our brand new county manager, Ms. Amy Cannon. My timekeeper is my husband over there. But I have to tell him, honey, instead of 5 minutes, I now have 2. Okay. But I hope each one of us would gain just a little bit of insight or something that would help us in our collaborative efforts to do the best that we can do for the county of Cumberland. Now, I am going to abbreviate. If anybody wants to hear the full thing, I'll be out in the lobby. I won't even charge you. But my comments today were to center around 3 pros: promote, protect, and produce. For the first pro, I'm going to say that it is imperative that each and every one of us promotes our community, the county in which we live, our municipality. Talk about the good things, okay? Promote, promote, promote. We have a lot to be proud of when we are promoting. Secondly, within county government, we are mandated to protect our citizens. And we have some dedicated employees who work to serve our citizens. For example, one example, the part of the mission of the Department of Social Services and its 600 employees is to protect the young and those who are vulnerable. Right now, the Department of Social Services is working triple time because of NC Fast and Medicaid applications being added to NC Fast. So some of our county funds, some of our allocation, we've already overspent, and we have extended it twice to help with these services because we had to get some part-time help. We funded temporary staff that has been trained to make sure that people as near as possible, the young, the vulnerable, those people who need services, can get those services. We also need to protect our children. We now have about 800 children in the foster care system. And one of the things that each one of us can do is perhaps to look for places for homes and help us place our children. With those 800 foster children, more than 800, the number has gone up. It's been going up, escalating for the last 10 years. Last year alone, it went up 23%. And we have fewer than 80 homes, foster homes, to place those children in. So as a result, there are hundreds of children that belong in Cumberland County living as far away as Charlotte to try to find homes for them. And then they have to be transferred back to Cumberland County to go to court to receive services. So we all need your help in finding homes for within our county. We are mandated, the county is, to protect our citizens. Promote, protect. Because we are mandated to have certain, the jail, okay? I can't even think of the good word. I can't think of the nice word. The detention center. We are mandated to do that. And last year, even though, well, we just built the new one since I've been on board, but we outgrew it. And so we were already on spot to build another one, to add on to it. And that one is fast filling up because if you build it, they will come. And we know that the answer to crime, or those people who are not that we live in a community of criminals, but those people who sometimes forget the laws, have to be placed somewhere. But to combat that, we are also taking a novel approach. We have jail diversion programs, such as crisis intervention teams. And those people are our first responders, our policemen, our firefighters. When they get to a place where someone is having a problem, they know how to take care of their problem. And we work with our hospital because we're trying to take these people out of the emergency rooms and out of the detention center. We also have our court system has a state grant to establish a veterans court, because our veterans also need special assistance and should not end up in our emergency room or in our detention centers. So we have a special court for that. Finally, we've got to produce. No matter what we must face in Cumberland County government, we must produce the best services possible for our citizens. So in that regard, we're upgrading our information technology infrastructure with new computers and servers and internet protocol phone systems. I just learned how to text. And electronic records. The county is also investing in finance and personnel software programs and electronic records to increase efficiencies across our county departments. Education is an important tenet of this community. We in Cumberland County are proud of the fact that though the school systems are continually cut, our school system, our schools, our children are continually cut, that they can count on the county for a certain percentage of money, even though if we took our entire budget, we couldn't make up for the cuts the schools have received in the last 10 years. But the schools can count on the fact that because we have reached a formula, we've got a formula, that they have a certain amount of money that they can use each year. It's millions of dollars, a whole lot of money. And we are proud of our Fayetteville Technical Community College and its efforts to improve our workforce. There is a special program now, an advanced collision repair program. It is a wonderful, wonderful program that is going to prepare graduates in a field where there's a shortage of trained technicians. And these people will be coming in from all over, and they'll be going out, and our citizens will be able to repair these smart cars. Smarter than me. My car talks to me. And sometimes, and I don't even know what it's saying. Finally, I want you to join me, please, as we promote the good things in our community, protect our most vulnerable citizens, and join together to produce benefits that will support each and every one of us. Thank you for letting me join you.
Mayor Pro Tem Katie Ann Davey made Fayetteville her home in 2005 and immediately became actively engaged in city and community affairs. She was first elected as the District 2 representative to the Fayetteville City Council in November of 2009. She is an active participant in her district's Community Watch meetings as well as other community groups. Mayor Pro Tem Davey is a graduate of the University of Oregon, where she received her bachelor's degree in psychology with a minor in business, and recently obtained her project/healthcare management MBA from Fayetteville State University. Please welcome Mayor Pro Tem Davey.
Good afternoon, everyone. Greetings to all present and those that will be able to tune in to this presentation on faytv.com and also online at FayTV 7. On behalf of our mayor, Fayetteville City Council, and over 208 residents in the city of Fayetteville, It's indeed an honor, privilege to be with you today to update you on the state of our city. At this time, I would like Councilmember Hurst, Wright, McDougall, along with the City of Fayetteville staff, to please stand to be recognized. As many of you all may know, that this year marks the 100th anniversary of Babe Ruth's first home run. He made this first home run in the city of Fayetteville. That's why I have my baseball. This home run was the longest the crowd of spectators have ever seen. That was surely some good news for Fayetteville. As we reflect on the state of our city, Babe Ruth's achievement is an excellent metaphor for where we're headed. Much like Babe Ruth, Fayetteville, our city, has continued to learn how to hold our own when it comes to all the best players. Like Babe Ruth, we, the city of Fayetteville, are swinging for the fences on our way to the top. Building on the theme of baseball, please allow me to share with you my pitch. The city of Fayetteville swing. What's on first, second, third base? And of course, how we're loading the bases for a grand slam. First up is my pitch. As I stand here before you, I am mindful we are a city with a big vision. A big vision, and realizing that there is a lot going on for us to get there. It's going to take a lot of efforts for us to achieve this vision. I believe it depends on you. It depends on me, and it also depends on the ones that are not here today. We can choose endurance as a community in the throes of exhaustion. Ultimately, the state of our city remains strong. Looking back over the last year, I say with confidence, our community has, in fact, chosen determination, persistence. The good news is we've had a lot of wins. From partnerships, collaborations with Washington, Raleigh, and locally with our county, schools, businesses, and community leaders. Our community is at the plate, just like Babe Ruth. Prepared, determined, and swinging for the fences. The swing. Through our citizen survey, feedback from our volunteer boards and commissions, community watch groups, and the results from community conversations, your council was able to gauge the pulse of the overall community. Through that, we came up with these swings. The priorities are resource police staffing, establish a broader citywide economic business development program, enhance customer service, and come up with a plan for parks and recreation. With your input, we have a broader understanding of the community needs and expectations. Your city council stepped up to the plate, listened, and took a bold swing. On first base is a priority of police staffing. We swung hard with the addition of 47 sworn officers and 12 non-sworn staff members. This is good news. It's good news because this will continue to provide proactive measures, such as working with neighborhoods to ensure the quality, safety, and security of our community. On second base, our priorities are customer service and economic business development. You spoke, and we listened. And the good news is we have enhanced our customer-friendly atmosphere by cutting through the red tape. Additionally, we established the Department of Economic Business Development. This department will continue to work with our partners to bring about higher job prosperity, job growth, and expanded economic opportunity for our residents. This is good news, because through that, we will continue to strengthen redevelopment opportunities, especially in areas that are unperforming. Rounding 3 and almost home. We have allocated $2 million for parks and recreation development. This is for efforts to make our city a greater city and improve our quality of life. I am proud to say that your city council, along with city staff, is working diligently to provide a state-of-the-art competition pool right here in our great city. Some may ask, why? Why a pool? Well, the city of Fayetteville only has one pool in a city of 208,000 residents. For far too many years, our youth, our adults, have had to travel outside of Fayetteville to compete. So what does that mean to our economy? That means dollars that could have stayed in our community are going other places. A city this size can support this growing need and will be very beneficial for our children, adults, and seniors. It's also important to note that according to Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, there's on an average 3,533 unintentional drownings annually in the United States. About 10 deaths per day. And 1 in 5 of those deaths are from children 14 years old or younger. So the good news is this competition pool is on the horizon. And it will provide greater opportunity for youth, adults, to also participate in life-saving swimming lessons and activities. All right, sliding home for a grand slam. I have a couple things that I want to leave with you all. I want you to remember that hard work pays off. There's no shortcuts to rebuilding and revitalizing our community. It takes property by property, business by business, schools by schools, and neighborhoods by neighborhoods. Remember to change that mindset, not your swing. We love Fayetteville. We've seen it grow. So continue that swing to success. Fayetteville has the right mechanics. It has the right mechanics when it comes to public safety, job creation, and quality of life. So with that, we just need to continue to engage and get people involved. Number 3, remember to swing. Swing hard every time. To me, That all has to do with your courage and being willing to take risks. If we keep doing these things in our community, day after day, month after month, year after year, Fayetteville is going to knock it out the park each and every time. So thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity to say some good news about Fayetteville. I also want you all to review the highlights in your book that's at each table. I want you to review it, not only review it, but commit to sharing it to someone else in the community that may not be engaged, and they can find out, wow, Fayetteville has some great things to offer. So I challenge you all with that today. And again, thank you. God bless.
Spring Lake Town Manager Ken Metcalf began working as a Director of Recreation and Parks in August of 1999. Prior to his hiring in Spring Lake, he was Director of Parks and Recreation for the town of Aberdeen for 8 years. Since beginning his position in Spring Lake, the Recreation Department under his leadership produced a growth of over 400% in youth activities. Ken is co-chair of the town's annual Spring Fling, which began in 2002, and was director during the construction of the opening of the town's 17,000-plus multipurpose center, which opened in October of 2006. Ken has extensive experience in all aspects of local government. He and his family proudly reside in the town of Spring Lake. Please welcome Town Manager Ken Metcalf.
All right, good afternoon. It's good to be here with you. Half the crowd just left, so that took a lot of pressure off. The running joke around the office there at Town Hall in Spring Lake is if you have a meeting with Ken, don't sweat it. Within a minute, you'll have to go to the bathroom, and that'll be the end of it. So the good news for everybody is I have to go to the bathroom, so I'm going to be very brief. On behalf of Mayor Chris Ray and our Board of Aldermen, I do appreciate the opportunity to be with you today and give you some good information about the town of Spring Lake. I am Ken Metcalf, the town manager, and been in that role for about 1.5 years now. Spring Lake has a population, depending on what data you choose to use, between 12 and 13,000 citizens. We're still a very young municipality, being incorporated in 1951. So with our relatively young age of 63, we've sometimes struggled for our own identity. But we're now hitting our stride under Mayor Ray's leadership. And he is doing a great job, and he would be here with you today, except he is at work in Virginia. So I'm going to try to speak as if Mayor Ray were here and tell you the good news he'd want you to know. Our infrastructure improvements, our water system, our sewer system. When I hear about $2 million for Parks and Recreation, that's staggering to me. So we just spent that on water and sewer needs, which is a lot to us. $2 million to me is still $2 million, and that all went to water and sewer upgrades and for our wastewater treatment plant. And we do credit our friends with the county, the Cumberland County Community Development Office, for making sure we had the funds to make those things happen. We would like to thank Dr. Teal and his group with the school system. Because of our partnership with them, we've been able to, speaking of Parks and Recreation, we've been able to add a new playground to our system at May Rudd Williams Elementary School. And that's been a very good cooperative effort. The amount of time that I have left, and I did trade 4.5 minutes to Colonel Sanborn for Lyndon Oaks. So I think I've exceeded my 30 minutes, but the amount of time that I have left today will not allow me to talk much about Mayor Ray's vision for technology in Spring Lake. But let's just say that his mind is always thinking in that way. And just one small example of that is next month, Spring Lake's going to go live with our own app. Dr. Council said something about technology, and she's just learning to text and everything. I'm still very illiterate when it comes to technologies, but I do know that we are getting our own app and that it's going live next month. So be on the lookout for the I Love Spring Lake app. And of course, this is going to allow citizens a lot more access to what we're doing and give them more information, signing up for T-ball, getting their water service turned on, etc. And that is just a very small example of the way Mayor Ray's thinking is for technology. He has some big vision, big plans. With someone earlier referenced the DOT and those projects, we're not sitting back waiting for all that to happen. For the people that predicted that the U4444 project would be the end of Spring Lake, well, it's not. We've been very proactive under our economic development team headed by Jeffrey Hunt of the Chamber, and we're looking at some real big picture items that are going to happen over the next few years. We haven't sat back and just waited, but we're very proactive when it comes to tourism. We're looking at entertainment venues. Who knows what you may see in Spring Lake as far as entertainment over the next few years. I'll just give you a hint on that, so leave you with that. And we do mean major entertainment. So hopefully one of these days you'll hear about that, and maybe one day I'll be sitting at a concert there. I suppose, cutting this short a little bit, because I do have to use the restroom, I suppose that any conversation about Spring Lake, I would disappoint everyone if I didn't mention our police department and everything that's been involved there over the years. And I'll just tell you this, with everything that's happened over the past 5 years, I feel strongly that Spring Lake has the best small-town North Carolina police department, out there. I really feel that way under the Board of Aldermen and their commitment to public safety and to getting this thing right, actually. So the Board of Aldermen, their investment into training and equipment for our police department is at an all-time high. And certainly, I know this is one of those duh moments, but we take it seriously. We're not going there again. We're not going through that again. And Chief Troy McDuffie, you're not going to find anyone with more integrity and more discipline about their own self, and he expects that out of his men and women that serve under him. So the good news on that is the state of our community is great. The state of our police department is even better. So I just wanted you to know that. And I'll end it on that note. That's a good point to end. So thank you very much for attending. My compliments to the chef. Good job.
Thank you, Ken. The restroom's right out to the left if you got to go. Thank you. Jackie Warner was elected mayor of Hope Mills in November of 2011 after retiring from Cumberland County Schools in March of that year with 40 years experience. She received her BS degree in biology from Pembroke State University at that time and a Master's of Education in Administration and Supervision from Fayetteville State University. Mayor Warner served as Hope Mills Town Commissioner from 2007 to 2009 and currently owns and operates a gift shop, Carlene's of Hope Mills. Please welcome Mayor Warner.
Well, I will tell you that this for me is kind of nice because our last 4 board meetings, we've had a packed house and we've had to move to another building so that we could accommodate the number of citizens that came to our board meetings. So looking out now as the numbers have decreased, it's kind of feels good, kind of like it used to be. I will tell you that as I've listened to the others speak, our proud past, promising future motto kind of fits in with everybody here. One thing that is important in Hope Mills right now is the past year, since I was last at this microphone, a lot of things have happened, a lot of wonderful things. We did settle the damn lawsuit. I am the proud mayor with $9.4 million to spend, and I'm being watched daily to make sure that I'm not spending it. They know how I like to shop. But the good news is that we're on the road to getting the dam back. We did send out for RFQs or proposals, and this time we're a smarter board. This time we know, because of all that we've been through, what to do. And what we have accomplished so far is that we do have proposals in place. We'll be looking at those. But the unique thing is it's a design-build concept where the engineer and contractors will be working together. We will not have to go through the long extended bidding process, so that hopefully we can get the show on the road quicker. And then other good news is that the designer, the engineer that we choose will have built dams before. We'll have drawn dams before. That was something that was missing the last time. We didn't have an engineer that knew anything about dams, so that what we ended up with was an experimental dam that didn't work. So good news is we're shooting for September 2016 to have water back in the lake. And I'll just say a prayer that happens. There'll be another elections time between that too. The other thing that I think is exciting is that we do have in Hope Mills, and if you've been listening to the news, there's been a lot of controversy taking place, but it's good kinds of controversy because the citizens have actually rallied. They've come to our meetings. They've voiced their opinions. Even this morning, there's a letter to the editor. We're finding that because we're growing and because so many people want to move to Hope Mills, that suddenly our citizenry has decided, hey, we better participate because things are happening and they're happening fast. We do have on board the plans for Heritage Park, which is a recreation park that's next to where our rebuilt dam will be. We also have, and just Monday night, we decided that we would acquire the Episcopal Church on Main Street and use this once we get approved through the Episcopal Diocese, that we'll use this for a museum. It's 5 parcels of land that we don't have to pay for because they're going to give it to us. And that's a neat deal because now we can use the funds that we've put aside to purchase something like this so that we can now start renovating it and getting it ready. When we talk about protection, again, I think the important thing is we did have to raise taxes this year. It's a first for us in quite a while, but we did that so we could increase our police force and our fire department. Now, someone's going to ask me again, how is it in Hope Mills? How safe are you in Hope Mills? We're very safe. We don't make any of the list of crime rising and the problems that other cities are having. We're sandwiched in between 2 forces right now. One is Fayetteville, and the other is Lumberton. And so what we're seeing is we don't want that to creep into Hope Mills. So we're trying to be preventive, and that's another need for increasing our police force. You're also going to find that when you come to Hope Mills that we do have a lot of people wanting to move there. We just, again, on Monday night agreed to accept some acreage from Fayetteville. I don't know, when we get something free, you wonder about that too. But our MIA was an area that was Fayetteville's, but now it's ours because there was a little line drawn that, it could go either way. Well, we got it, 50 acres. Proposed maybe 600 homes in those acres. So what we're looking at is everybody wants to move to Hope Mills and they're moving fast. We have a lot of apartment complexes that have come in and they fill up fast. So now I've got a lot of business people in this room. We have some vacant buildings and we have lots of people. So we would like to encourage anyone in here that would like to come to Hope Mills and set up shop. There's places there. All you got to do is just come in, move in, and you can start selling to our fantastic, energized people because we've got over 16,000. The other thing that I think is important too, and that is with our youth programs. We had opening day on Saturday, and you can't beat Hope Mills Parks and Rec, and you can't beat what's happening with our youth in Hope Mills. Very proud when you mentioned Jack Brett High School. It's in Hope Mills. Southview High School, Grace Creek is on the fringes. We've got 3 very strong high schools in our area. That's another reason why Hope Mills is shining right now. You're also going to find that in Hope Mills that we do promote our town. We're very proud of our town. And we're also excited because right now it looks like all roads leads to Hope Mills. If you'll notice, if you head my way, Camden Road, Legion Road, Hope Mills Road, if you can't find an orange bucket or barrel, and if you can't find a guy with a little sign out there directing you, you know you're not going the right direction to get to where we are. And again, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here today.
John K. McNeil was appointed mayor by the Rayford City Council in November 2nd, 2004, to fill out the term of Mayor Bob Gentry, and then he was elected 2006, 2010, 2014. Mayor McNeil graduated from Elon University in 1970 with a degree in political science and from East Carolina University with a master's degree in counseling. He also holds a degree in school administration. Please welcome John McNeil.
Oh, thank you for the applause. The reason I say that, the last time I was in an assembly this big, probably even bigger now that some have left, we were talking annexation, and I was greeted by a crescendo of boos and hisses. So to hear the applause is a good feeling. Now, sometimes when you're a mayor of a small town and you don't know exactly what you're doing in a small town, somebody else probably does. So keep that in mind if you want to be a mayor of a small town. Rayford, North Carolina was named after 2 men named Williford and McCrae. They operated a lumber business on Rockfish Creek. They were tired of going to Fayetteville and fighting the traffic to get their mail. So this was in 1901, and they decided to establish a post office, and you have to have a town and a plot to have a post office, and so that's how Rayford got its name. If you've been downtown Rayford, you notice the main street is very wide. That's the original plan. That's the way it was laid out when it was designed years ago, and you can park without having a parallel park on both sides. And back in the early days, you could drive your buckboard to downtown Rayford with your team of horses and make a U-turn and not have to back up. So that's why Rayford streets are so wide. We have 4,800 people. We're pushing for 5,000. We had a big loss last year. The House of Rayford lost 900 jobs. Some of those were relocated. House of Rayford still has a big freezer plant in Rayford, which has about 400 people in it. That was a blow to the city of Rayford when you lose your best water customer to the tune of about $65,000 a month. We had to raise our water rates a little bit this year. Our major employees are Burlington Industries. They make the dress blue for the Marines and for the Army. Unilever. They make Axe deodorant, Suave products. I was in the Unilever plant not too long ago, and the lines were running, the noise, production was at full blast, and everything just stopped. I said, uh-oh, there's a mechanical failure, something's wrong. Turned to the manager who was giving me a tour. I said, what's going on? He said, we're stopping production because we were switching our packaging. We're packaging in 4, but Walmart wants theirs in 6. So we had to stop the whole operation to start putting Axe deodorant into a 6-pack instead of a 4-pack. So just a little indication of the impact that Walmart has. Our other big industry is Alpa, A-L-P-H-A, and they make plastic bottles that are used at Unilever for their products to be put in. So you can buy a Unilever product in Hope County, put it in the recycle, and it never leaves the county. It comes back is a new bottle. How's that for economical, environmental service? We are a bedroom community for Fort Bragg. We have lots of military families. We love to have them. We just want them to spend their money there. They spend their money, obviously, at the PX and malls and other places. It's a double-edged sword because we don't have a lot of places for them to spend their money. We're looking at downtown development. We've redone our downtown. We've got taken a streetlights, or not streetlights, our power lines are going underground. If you've been downtown Rayford, it's pretty neat and pretty well, most of our storefronts are full. We do have a few empty ones. We need a new industry. I think I had an offer here on the chicken plant since the House of Rayford had closed down. I think you may want Hope County to absorb that problem and maybe have it disappear from Cumberland. I don't know. We do have an empty plant. We want to expand, but we want to keep our small town charm. We have low tax rates, a low water bill. My water and sewer bill is about $55 a month for both. Medical facilities. We're not crowded. Our schools are getting better. We have a lot of good people. And we have guaranteed one red light cycle delay unless there's an accident. Can you get that over here? I think not. The first week I was mayor, this lady approached me very upset. Sir, I need to talk to you in your office. We have a big problem in Rayford. So here I am, first week on the job, and my head's going, scandal, money gone. Something gave the previous mayor a heart attack, and I'm going to inherit that problem. And that's how he died, by the way. So she comes to my office and said, the problem with Rayford, North Carolina is we do not have a Taco Bell. I said, this job's going to be a piece of cake if that's our biggest problem. So I'm pleased to announce 10 years from 2004 when I had this conversation, we are getting a, you know what, a Taco Bell. I'm a Rayford native, proud to be from Rayford. Somebody said, well, do you like all that noise at Fort Bragg makes at night? I said, I love that noise. That noise puts me to sleep. I've been listening to that noise since I was a little boy. That noise means security to me. That noise has a deeper meaning than just an irritation that may wake you up. And in all my years, I've never had a broken window, sir, so that's good. One last story, I'll go. Lady had been married 4 times. Somebody said, well, that's interesting. What did your 4 husbands do? My first husband was a banker. Second husband was the ringmaster in the circus. My third husband was a preacher, and my 4th husband was a funeral director. And they said, well, that's an odd combination. You going to say the punchline with me? Ready? 1 for the money, 2 for the show, 3 to get ready, and 4 to go. Thank you. Have a good afternoon, and come to Rayford.
Representing the school system today is Chip Lucas. He is Executive Director of Career and Technical Education for Cumberland County Schools. Chip received an associate degree from Fayetteville Tech, a BA degree from Fayetteville State, an MA degree from North Carolina State University, and his principal certification from UNC Pembroke. Please welcome Chip Lucas.
And I don't get a pretty picture on the screen like everybody else did because I'm the substitute for the substitute. Pam Gibson was supposed to be here today, And she is expecting her first grandchild, so she's on baby watch. And Dr. Till is with, I guess they've already left the Principal of the Year luncheon, and the Principal of the Year is probably already retired by now. But anyway, he sends his regrets. Anyway, you've probably seen Dr. Till in the newspaper lately, and you've heard a lot about the school system in our schools in the county, and I just want to reinforce some of those things today for him. You know that last year we showed academic growth increases, that in our testing areas last year, 89% of Cumberland County schools met or exceeded academic growth. This is a 13% increase over the previous year. And Dr. Till wants you to know that's better than Charlotte, Mecklenburg, and Wake County schools. Give us a hand. In Cumberland County, 92% of our elementary schools, 77% of the middle schools, and 94% of the high schools met or achieved academic growth standards and goals. Dr. Till refers this as our true north. We really truly believe that all children can learn and all children can grow. And our mantra is that we are committed to growth for every child by meeting the individual needs of the students. By the way, we still measure proficiency, and in all of our end of grade and end of course tests last year, we showed proficiency increases. Now let's talk about our graduation rate. In CTE, where I come from, Career and Technical Education rate, we boast that in career and technical education programs, we can get a higher graduation rate than the state, usually by about 10 points. But countywide and statewide, the graduation rate's right at over 80%. In Cumberland County, we're just behind the state average. So what can you in the community do to help us with the graduation rate? A couple of our schools have 100% graduation rates. Our small early college high school and our Howard Health and Life Sciences High School boast that 100% graduation rate. But we're at about 81.7%. We challenge you to get involved with a new program that is in conjunction with the United Way, and that's called Mentoring Works. Many of us in this room that are left have probably grown up in a pretty good home. We've had supports in place to where we've had probably two parents. But many of the students that come to us are having barriers. They have different circumstances, and so they need someone to let them know that they do care. So we have relaunched the Mentoring Works program in conjunction with the United Way, and we're trying to make sure that we match up the correct mentor with the correct mentee. So if you feel led to do this, please go to the United Way website and sign up, or come to any of the Cumberland County schools and meet one of those principals and sign up to be a mentor for one of our students. And we promise that you won't have to teach algebra, okay? In closing, I would like to just give you a few points of thanks from Career and Technical Education. We want to say thanks to the business community for helping us with our summer youth services program this past summer. We are now contractors with our friends at Fayetteville Technical Community College in the Cumberland County's Workforce Development Youth Services Program. We put 150 students to work this past summer in 90 locations. So some of that money that they had in their pocket, hopefully it went back into the economic community. We also want you to know that Career and Technical Education and our high schools are preparing our students to be career ready. Students in their senior year take a test called Work Keys. It's a career readiness assessment where students are measured in reading for information, locating information, and applied mathematics. And we made a 6-point gain last year. So we really feel like we're moving in the right direction by having students ready not only for just post-secondary education, college, but also the career of their choice. And finally, we want to charge the members of the business community and the chamber to continue to work with us on our School to Work initiatives by becoming involved in many of the partnerships that we form with Career and Technical Education, Cumberland County Schools, and the business community. These include advising us on our Career Academy advisory boards, helping us with our Career and Technical Education Advisory Board, career shadowing programs, internships, And the most important thing that we hear most of the time is that soft skill development of our future workers and citizens of the county. We're glad to have been a part of the auto collision repair program with iCar that was mentioned earlier. And thank you to all of you presenters who did mention the school system in one way or another. We certainly enjoy partnering with you and those of you in this room. Thank you, and have a good afternoon.
I want to thank you for staying. But we have a couple little things I want to do before we adjourn, but I'd like Doug Peters, president of the chamber, to come forward and make a few remarks. Doug?
I'll be brief, I promise. Because I was 49 when I got here, I'm 53 now. I want to say thank you to all of you for being here. We didn't want to short circuit any of the information. You heard from Colonel Sanborn, a very important member of the Chamber's Board of Directors, the challenges that are facing Fort Bragg. When those challenges impact Fort Bragg, they impact each of you and every member of this community that's proud to be a part of the Fort Bragg family. So we heard you, Colonel. We're working hard. The Chamber was out in front trying to lead the sequestration issue. We're not going to go to sleep and assume that everything will be fine. We'll continue to charge forward and help you as a partner. A lot of great things were said today. We have challenges as a community. I want to thank each of our speakers who took the time to share with you all of the things that confront our community. We have a lot to be proud of. We have a lot to celebrate, but let's work together on the challenges. I think we can get a lot done if we harness the energy of this community to move it forward. I want to thank our board members who are here. I'll miss one, but we've got Mike Nagowski from the health system over here. Mike, thanks for staying. They're everywhere. If you're a board member of the chamber, would you just stand real quick and let the other two people see you? Vinny Venturella, our immediate past chair, Jack Rostetter, Dave Trago, thank you all for being here. That's all I have. I just want to say thank you for coming. We will work on the time. Even though we're running ahead of schedule, the time that's on the brochure is a typo. It was 1 a.m. that we were to adjourn. But we're going to get better at this. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Doug. If you will look at your program, and if there's a yellow dot on the back, you can have the centerpiece. You can have the centerpiece if you have a program with a yellow dot on the back. And I'm not going to check your program. I'm going to trust your honesty. There's one announcement. The second event of the Government Affairs Committee will be a candidates forum for the State Senate, State House, Cumberland County Commissioners. It will be October 16th at 6:30 at Fayetteville Tech at Cumberland Hall. So we'd like for you to make a note of that candidates forum and please attend. Would you please give our sponsors a round of applause? Again, we thank you for coming today. We thank you for your support of the Chamber of Commerce, and be safe. Thanks.